They had the best record in baseball, and they had opened up a 6-game lead on the second-place Atlanta Braves in the National League. And then disaster struck.
Sad we had to leave this way, but sometimes you gotta do what you have to do.
All of a sudden, we had that abrupt stop. It left us all with an empty feeling.
I just felt like, man, that was our chance to win a championship, you know, and they took it away. And I'll always be somewhere in a dark place because of that.
When that season ended, because of the strike, I sat down at home and I made notes on this piece of paper listing the players, the record, and the date, because I think it was the death knell of baseball in Montreal.
But the strike, brought on by the many money problems baseball had, was at least in one respect a fitting way for the Expos to get undercut, because it was money, or more precisely the lack of it, that was starting to threaten the team's existence.
They still have this great team. All they have to do is literally nothing, just status quo. Just make sure that this team takes the field the next year. And they decide within the course of 3 days, basically, get rid of everybody. Get rid of Marquise Grissom, trade him. Get rid of Ken Hill, get rid of John Wetland.
Larry Walker, come on. You couldn't have had a better guy. And he had to walk because they couldn't afford to pay him.
Local owners would argue that they were in survival mode and they just had to tread water, but you gotta win. Okay, we knew they couldn't keep everybody, but you could have kept 2 of these guys.
The idea of Expos University is you would serve 4 years as an Expo, and then you graduate, and then you were on to other things. Pedro Martinez in 1997 strikes out 305 batters and has a 1.90 ERA. Let's go trade him.
Every year I was in trade talks. I mean, the nucleus, it was right there to actually develop into whatever you wanted that organization to be. You can only stop and think.
If you want to talk about the what-ifs in baseball history, Jeter and Posada and Mariano Rivera and Bernie Williams and those guys, maybe they're not legends because the Expos are kicking their butt every year in the World Series.
Financial issues had in fact been hindering the franchise for years. Multiple ownership groups and a failed attempt to move the team into a new downtown ballpark left the club's future in doubt. Then, in 2001, owner Jeffrey Loria sold the Expos to Major League Baseball. All that, along with dwindling attendance, made it seem like only a matter of time before the franchise would be relocated.
Kind of preparing myself for the worst here. And you've got 5,000 people in the stands every night. It can't last forever.
2004 would be the Expos' final season in Montreal. 35 years after the club was born, it was time to say goodbye.
It was emotional. I was sitting close down the first base line as a fan with my dad. I remember leaning back and somebody I knew in the row behind me ended up taking a picture. There's no joy in my face at a baseball game.
And now the curtain falls on Major League Baseball here in Montreal.
A month later, there would be a final farewell to Montreal and their fans. It would come from the most famous graduate of Expos University.
The Boston Red Sox are world champions.
I would like to share this with the people in Montreal that are not going to have a team anymore.
I'm sure the scene was played out in living rooms all over Montreal with just tears streaming down.
I saw myself as a champion in '94. I just could never celebrate it. So I wanted to share it with the people that I thought deserved to actually have that opportunity.
My ring is with them too.